Why hello there, A Knife's Tale here. I do hope this video finds you well. Today I'm bringing you a bit of a different kind of video, as you can probably tell by the number of knives on the table here. I'm doing my top 10 knives of 2025. These are the top 10 knives that I like the most and that I came across and saw, and these things are the best in the cream of the crop, kind of. The reason this is a little bit later than I intended, I wanted to kind of do it right at the new year, is that one of the knives that I had coming, that I thought might be on the list, and I wanted to keep my a slot open for, which it actually is on the list, though it is number 10, didn't arrive until like the 6th, so it delayed me a little bit. First and foremost, though, before we get into it, I want to set the stage and say that these are knives that are brand new designs that debuted in 2025. That is the criteria. Basically, something like the CKF Evo 1.1 is not a new design. It's a pattern of the Evo, right? It's very much so the same knife, just with a slightly different handle. Now, I would make an exception for something like this, where the QSP Penguin is certainly not new, but the Glide Lock Penguin with the crossbar lock and all the changes could have been there, but it's not quite there. So those were taken into account, but new just like updated patterns of pre-existing knives are not on the list. Because, of course, I love my Evo, and it probably would be there otherwise. But these are the best that came out for me, that I saw and came across last year. I will say that there is 3 budget knives on there. I definitely went through quite a number of budget knives last year, but I also noticed that I wasn't really looking at knives that had just dropped or had dropped last year. Like, I kept coming across knives. I just did a review of this Civivi Placoid, and honestly, this would be on there if it came out last year. However, it came out in 2024, and that's kind of what happened with a number of the knives I had. They had been out prior, so. Without further ado, let us get into the knives that have made the top 10 for me. What came across, and this is, of course, like I just said, I didn't see a lot of the budget knives that came out last year. There's a lot of knives that I would have liked to have gotten a chance to check out and see, but limited funds, limited time, limited everything, and also, hey, I'm a new channel, right? I started my channel just before the beginning of 2025, so I've been doing this for a little over a year now. You can't expect me to get all the knives in, right? Even if I'd like to. I'll have to work up to that. But we're starting things off here with the Kunwu Gringo Vertalock. I think that's a substantial enough change to this knife for it to be taken into consideration. This is also the knife that I was waiting for to arrive. Now, this knife is in Elmax. It is carbon fiber. It is on bearings. It uses a top liner lock because Spyderco's patent on that sort of ran its course, and now it can be used and implemented probably, let's be honest, better than Spyderco might be. I mean, that's kind of what happened when Benchmade lost its crossbar lock patent. New companies came in and said, hey, yeah, we might be able to do these a little bit better. Or we might now be able to use these, and eventually have gotten kind of superior in some cases. Well, that's the case here, probably. This is a rather large knife. Tall, big blade. Very comfortable in the hand. The reason why it is not higher on the list, despite it being quite good, and having a great plunge grind, good geometry, surprisingly thin, not too thin, like it gets thicker reasonably quickly. Might benefit from like a hollow ground, especially with this large blade, but it's reasonably thin for quite a while. The only reason it's not higher on the list is, well, 2 things. First of all, I'm not a super big fan of the shred carbon fiber. I don't know why I bought this. For some reason, I was thinking that it was a different kind of carbon fiber. I'm not a big shred carbon fiber fan because they tend to get voids. This side is beautiful. There is, as far as I can tell, basically no voids in there. This side, however, has some pretty big ones there and quite a bit of like micro ones that you can kind of feel on the show side, right where you put your hand. Not that it's really bothering me, but it's noticeable. So that detracts a little bit. And the second detraction is stop pin placement. You can actually see with the oil, the stop pin hits right there. Now, I want to preface this and say, this is not at all going to be a problem. The stop pin hits here on this knife, which gives you quite a bit of life. In fact, you'll probably get your money's worth out of life on this knife. You'll probably be able to take off quite a bit. Yeah, it's actually, let's see, arguably there, yeah. Which is a decent amount. It's not going to be a problem on this one. However, there is absolutely no reason this stop pin, as far as I can tell, couldn't have been just slightly further forward and slightly down a little bit. So it contacted, you know, right there instead and giving you all of the life on this knife. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I don't think you're not going to get your money's worth out of it. I think you're going to get quite a few sharpenings because it's as far up and back as it is. But look where the sharpening tool and plunge grind is. What's the point of even putting the plunge grind back here if you're going to put the stop pin up here? You can't use it beyond there. The stop pin should realistically be moved. And I have to say that while this knife is not a problem like many other knives that we see all the time, and you'll get your money's worth out of it, these things need to start being taken into account more. That's one of the things, like, if I'm going to put a wish list video together for 2025, and this is going to be one of them, because there's no reason that blatant things that affect sharpening shouldn't be taken into account on a knife that is designed to be used and sharpened. It's a core integral part. And again, while I don't think this one's a problem, it is pretty far up there, pretty far back, and you've got a decent amount of life. You'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. It could be better. It should be better. And the fact that it isn't when it should, combined with the fact that I don't particularly like the way this carbon fibers come out, I think it needs to be held to account for that. And if I'm doing that, then it's number 10. It's still a great knife. It's still in my top 10. It's a really cool knife. I really like the design. I'm actually thinking of seeing if I can't send this one back and get the titanium one, because the carbon fiber is just not, I'm not feeling it. But, and it's like a $10 difference. I'll pay $10. But it's a good knife. However, it is being held back by just a design element that I cannot see a reason for. There just does not seem to be a reason why this couldn't just be pushed a little further back, forward, and down, as I said, so it, instead of contacting here, it would just have to contact here. You get more life, less worries, better thought out design, and that counts for me. Just the thought of it, putting the effort in to make it better, is important. So, number 10, Kunwu Gringo with the Vertilock. There is a frame lock variant of this thing, but I don't know where the stop end is on that, so I can't talk about it. Let's just put this up here as number 10. As we move on to number 9. Actually, no, this is not going to be number 9. This is going to be number 9. Sorry about that. This is the Null Knives Vandal. I believe these are probably made by Ria. They kind of feel like they are. These are top tier stuff. I love Null Knives. I love their designs. I like this one, not as much as I like the Voodoo. There was a smaller Voodoo that came out or was pre-ordered recently. I kind of wish there was a larger Voodoo, but I've had a number of theirs. I've had a Raiden, I have a Ghoul, I have the Voodoo, this one. Yeah. I like their designs. I really like them. I like a lot of the things they're doing. The ergos, this is a titanium bolster lock with this beautiful carbon fiber in... Oh, hit the camera. Vanex blade steel, top-notch stuff there. Excellent, really strong detent, beautiful bearing action. I mean, yeah. And it could, and actually it's a little dry in there. It could probably drop down even better. The fit and finish, the quality, the centering, everything's pretty darn good here, though I think the seams could be a tiny bit better on this one. They're good, but they're not, like, perfect. But, I mean, I'm talking perfect. This is not at all unacceptable or bad in any way, shape, or form. This is top-notch stuff. So why is this knife not higher on the list? Especially with this nice hollow grind on here and everything. Well, oh, by the way, the access to the lock bar, wonderful. The texture, great. Pocket clip, functionally great. It's a little stiff, but wonderful. Functions, yeah. It's a big knife, super comfortable, ergonomic, but the reasons for me not putting this thing up higher is, first of all, the plunge grind is not good at all. It actually hits the edge, which is weird considering this is a very similar kind of pattern, like handle-wise and structure-wise, to the Voodoo. But the Voodoo had a really good plunge grind. This one's not as good. I don't know why, but it isn't. Fortunately, the stop pin contact's down here, so it's not really a problem, but yeah, that shouldn't be that way. Second of all, Null Knives, along with another company that you're going to be seeing, loves putting their, and numerous others, and it irks me, loves putting their logo down here on the cutting bevel, or on the edge bevel. You've got the, the edge bevel, the cutting bevel, and then you've got the flats. The cutting bevel here is a place where I really don't like seeing logos. It just looks weird on, in my opinion, down here on this part of the knife. I don't really want to see logos as much, or billboarding as much as possible on the blade. I really like sterile blades as much as possible. But we don't seem to get that very often. However, there is absolutely no reason why this wouldn't look just fine, like right here. Nice and small here, or even right up in here. I mean, you put the Vanex up in there, put it there so it hides away when it's open and just make it a nice clean presentation. You've got this end here, don't like it. Null Knife seems to do it on all of their models. This plunge grind, and the final thing that really bothers me, I'll be honest, is the backspacer. I don't know why it bothers me as much as it does, this weird, like, warped heart backspacer. That's what this reminds me of. I despise this backspacer. I was on the Voodoo. I hated it there. I don't know why. It just does not fit the design language, anything. It just doesn't belong there, and for some reason, I really don't like it. It looks stupid to me. So, unfortunately, those things are lowering what is, I mean, by all accounts, a wonderful knife. This is a good knife. These are top 10. They're all really, really good. But yeah, I kind of hope they make some updates. And again, some of these updates are going to be more in my wishful thinking video that's going to be coming up, where it's like, what do I want to see coming out this year, or changes that are maybe just better, make things nicer. Logos changes, billboarding, plunge grind. The one that is particularly subjective to this knife is the that horrible backspacer that bothers the crap out of me. I don't know why, but it does. So that goes into position number 9 for me. Number 8. This is a very, very budget knife. This is an Ozark trail knife out of Walmart. Why the heck is this thing even on the list? Well, first of all, budget knives and premium knives are held to different criteria, of course, but a really good budget knife is still a really good knife, right? This is a good knife. It's not amazing. It's not something spectacular. What it is $17 and some change. This is gas station knife price point, with nothing else that seems very gas station-y. First of all, it's 14C28N blade steel. It is a steel liner lock, or steel liner, with a crossbar lock and lightly contoured aluminum handles. For less than $18. That alone gets it an honorable mention. But there's more than that. Is the execution perfect? No. It's not executed great. I mean, mine came with a little mark there. I've noticed that as time has passed and I flicked it, some of the coating on the crossbar itself has started to wear off. I've heard that some of the stop pin that's actually internal here is pressed in through the blade, and there have been ones that have been like little cracked and everything like that, and you're not always going to get a great one. This one is actually pretty spectacular, which is definitely helping it. But what they've done here, the good definitely outweighs. I mean, the price is carrying it all the way, but you've also got a solid plunge grind. You've got a hollow grind that is reasonably thin, that really is just good functional blade shape. You've got a Tonto with a dropping tip that you can definitely use. You've got a really good, surprisingly, like what accounts for a detent on a crossbar lock. You've got a pretty darn good one here. It's not shaken out. It's quite solid. You've got a really good pocket clip design. I mean, this is better than a lot of companies because it doesn't have a flat on the end. It's a little bit stiff, but it works great. It's deep carry. It can be reversed for the ambidextrous lock. It's reasonably deep set. You've got a slight backspacer in this dang thing, which I'm pretty sure is aluminum. There are features on this thing that you're not seeing consistently on knives that are $40. Now, the quality of this thing is probably not quite on the $40 or $45 level. It certainly isn't compared to some of the things you can get at that price point. But some of the design aspects, some of the fit and finish and execution here is definitely punching so far above its price point that it has to be considered. It just does. So, yeah, this thing, the Ozark Trail, it's actually called the Valor, which I found out thanks to a viewer. I might have noticed it when I was doing the unboxing. It's actually on the box, but it's not on the Walmart website. They don't name it. So, yeah, whatever. But it's a good number 8. Moving on, we have, I believe, yeah, this one is a good number 7. This is the new Breed EDC Wingspan. And first of all, I really like the design. I really like the design a lot. It is a hollow ground knife. There are flat ground variants, but let's be honest, the hollow ground is probably a little more desirable. It's not the super deepest of hollow grounds, but it's nice and it definitely helps. S35 VN blade steel, titanium. Well, I guess this is sort of a sub-frame lock because it's actually under the inlay overlay of this silver 12 carbon fiber. There is another variant with like an acid etch blade and regular carbon fiber and blue, which is nice too. Backspacer, nice polished. You've got carbon fiber inlaid into the pocket clip. You've got amazing access to the lock bar. You've got amazing action. This was made for New Breed EDC by Kubi, and they really outdid themselves in a lot of ways. There's only 2 things holding this knife back. First of all, the jimping and shape of this flipper tab. Because they rounded it as much as they did instead of going with more like a square flipper tab, and the jimping is not like the perfect jimping, it doesn't grip you. So if you accidentally press up here, you slip right over. It's kind of uncomfortable in the hand, doesn't really work well. If you actually look real close, you can kind of see that the actual spine sort of goes in a little and then goes back out right around here. It actually starts raising up a little bit. You sort of have to press right under there, right around here, to get yourself the leverage that you need. It takes a little bit adjusting. You can definitely do it, but it's not like the best front flipper because of the shape and the jimping that's on there. It works. It's fine. And you have, of course, the reverse flick or Can you thumb flick this one? Yeah, you can. You can definitely thumb flick this one. There's enough room in there, access, even though it is tight. The other thing that's holding it back is the clip itself. Even though I love the way they inlaid the clip, as you can see, the clip material is pretty thick. And while it has good flex and everything, it's very thin and narrow, and it stands tall. So in the hand, you definitely feel it. It's quite noticeable. And I definitely think there was probably better ways to adjust to handle this thing. Maybe make it a little bit wider. Maybe make it have some really heavy rounding and chamfers on either side of it. As it's wider, would make it a little bit more in line with just being part of the handle instead of feeling as sort of just this line that's out of place. It's not uncomfortable in most grips. You can definitely find like certain positions, if you just grab it, it might not be comfortable. You have to adjust for like the push grip. Like if here, if you sort of can it down, it's a lot more comfortable. But in this position, it kind of gets a little bit weird right there. You can actually kind of see it. Look, maybe you can't on camera, but it was making a little bit of a mark there. It's comfortable. It's good. It's reasonable. I have no real issue with it, but it's not perfect. It's definitely a weak point, because I could see maybe for some people's hands, or just the fact that it is as noticeable and present as it is sort of brings this one down just a little bit. So I think with a slight clip adjustment, pretty much this thing could be raised up maybe even another notch or two, even without adjusting this, because it is definitely actuatable without too much trouble. Oh, and the sharpening tool and plunge grind are fantastic, and the stop pin is attached to the blade. You'll notice that is going to be a theme more and more, because I don't want that behind the edge. Not a problem on this one. Makes for a good, what is that, number 7? Yeah. Which brings us to number 6, which is this right here. This is another budget knife. This is the Molsect knives, who are a relatively new company, comparatively, and Old Fashioned. 14C28N, steel liner lock. This one's got G10 and micarta scales with a titanium pocket clip. This thing has been a pleasure and a surprise, but it is definitely doing some things. It's just on the edge of budget, first of all. It's like a $74 knife, which I draw the line of budget. Basically, it's $75, so it is pushing it, but it's got great bearing action. Even though it's only a front flipper, which I know is definitely a turnoff for a lot of people, it's so high in relation to the pivot. Like, it takes nothing to get this thing to go. You can get it at pretty much every angle that you might want to do a thumb or front flipper. You can do it. You just can't slow roll it. When you slow roll it, the front flipper disappears right there. See, there's no more access to the front flipper, so it will stop right there if you're trying to slow roll it. Great sharpening tool, decent sharpening tool and plunge grind. The plunge grind is like right here. It's mostly just height that keeps it away. I already mentioned the 14C28N. The blade is completely sterile on one side. The logo and stuff is on the other side. It's not too bad. I don't mind it so much on a budget knife. I will give it more leeway than I will on something like a premium knife. Good lock bar access, and the blade does not typically like go into your finger or anything you don't got to worry about. It is a slightly trailing kind of clip point. There is a slight bit of recurve there, but it's so minor that it's mostly just sitting back here at the heel, so you probably won't have a trouble sharpening it. Great action. Stop pin once again attached to the blade. That is something I like seeing. The real downside, it's also got a cool backspacer where it's just G10, but they've milled out part of the G10 to use. It's like one solid piece of G10, and the post for the lanyard loop that they give you, which is a hidden lanyard post, is G10 as well. It's kind of neat. The one downside is the clip. It doesn't seem to be like the greatest of titanium, or it's not heat treated great. It's tappy. It wasn't when I first got it, but after putting it in and out of the pocket a few times, it doesn't seem to flex. Like, the big thing about titanium is memory, right? It flexes back into position. not treated titanium or lower grades of titanium don't tend to have the same quite as high quality of flex. So this one might be just a little bit lesser than what we're used to. I mean, I don't mind it on a budget knife, but I would like that not to happen. Though it shouldn't be hard to fix. I can just pop that off and bend it a little bit and should be back to normal, but it is doing that a little bit, just for fair warning. The real thing that made this thing stand out to me the most is the ergos. Because this thing doesn't make sense, and I talked about this extensively in its own video, and pretty much my other Molsect video, where the edges here, as you can see, are pretty severe. They're arguably sharp, like they're hard edges all around this knife. And this thing does not make sense that when you look at it, it's flat, hard edges. It doesn't seem like it's going to be comfortable in the hand, and then you pick it up and it's like, I don't know if it was on purpose, but the chamfers are in the perfect spots to alleviate, at least for my hand, and I've heard a couple people say that they liked it, to alleviate any pressure on bad spots. Like right here, if you were really to push into there like that, that could be really uncomfortable. And yet the way the chamfer hits and the way this just folds into your hand and the arch to it, I don't come into contact with basically any of that bad spot. Any of the hard parts of this are mitigated by this shape, which is really kind of cool. You don't often see that. Now, I will say a really tight push grip is going to start getting a little bit uncomfortable, but you could probably even find you can find a pretty decently comfortable position even with that, which is very surprising. It doesn't make sense, but it's doing it anyway. So that made this thing stick around in my mind, and honestly, it is a really good knife. Molsect is doing some interesting stuff. Keep an eye on them. Now, this video is running a little bit long. Of course, I figured it was going to. I've got 10 knives to go through, and I talk. But I'm probably going to split the video here and do a two-parter, so that might be the case. If that's the case, thank you for watching up until now. Tune back in probably for tomorrow when I put up the rest of it if you care to see it. Either way, I greatly appreciate any support. I greatly appreciate you having any presence and seeing anything on my channel for this first year that I've been going. It's been awesome. Thanks for whatever. just a view. I'm very happy about that. I will see you guys in the next one, which will be the continuation of this, which we'll do right now, but I'm going to split this probably, so.